deep in the heart of the capital city. Live from the Broadcast House studios at 44th and O. We switch on the blinding neon glow that bears their name. Jack Mitchell.
Call Jack and Dave, Party Rickshaw Services.
And Dave Miller.
Do you need to spend the rest of your life with the smell of oatmeal?
It's KLIN's Jack and Dave in the morning.
Welcome back to your Wednesday morning. It's Jack and Dave, May 8th, 2013. Hit 60 degrees right now.
Woo! No walk today.
Why couldn't you have done that a week ago? At 8:38. We are glad to have you back with us, and we're going to shift gears a little bit. Been talking a lot of city election, a lot about what's going on in Cleveland, but every couple of weeks we like to bring our next guest in to keep us attuned to what's going on in the technology, social media, marketing world. He's Jason Petersen of Turbine Digital. Jason, good morning. How are you doing, sir?
Boys, what's up?
Not much.
Nothing.
Not a whole lot. Glad to have you in. We are on election
Absolutely.
overload, and so I know there's a lot of big stories relating to technology this week that we want to get to, maybe not the least of which, and we had a couple of guests about this issue over the last week or two, is this internet sales tax thing that's in Washington, D.C. right now. It looks like it probably has the momentum to pass, get signed, go into law. When you look at this, you've dealt with online retailers before. You've worked with these people, probably on the smaller end for the most part. Mm-hmm. How much does this change the landscape of how you think we're going to shop online, presuming it passes, over the next couple of years?
Interestingly enough, this has been a debate or something people have been talking about for at least 10 to 15 years, because the original bill was passed back when the internet was in its infancy. Candidly, I was really shocked that it went through that quickly through the Senate, because it does have an enormous economic impact for small to medium-sized retailers. It's a very misunderstood law. I'm clearly no lawyer, but from what I understand, where it really impacts is people that have a gross sales of more than $1 million, I believe, is when this starts to take place. And the biggest issue, in addition to some of the lost revenue, is just the paperwork. It's a nightmare. If you have to file all of these sales tax paperwork and returns for 50 states,
right,
that's a mess. You almost have to hire somebody, part-time, full-time.
Yeah. And you have to get these, I don't know what they're called, they're waivers or something like that from each individual state, and you have to apply for them like a license.
There'll be new businesses that crop up that essentially do this, I'm sure.
Exactly right.
Well, it's
consulting.
good for the economy. There we go.
There you go. It's a job creator, right? But, it'll be interesting. Do you think in the end this really takes a bite out of the way the momentum that's been going towards people buying things online more and more, or how much does that sales tax question figure in, do you think?
I think my only concern is, like you mentioned, I deal with a lot of smaller e-commerce storefronts, and it might
help them.
It may help
because they're probably not doing $1 million gross.
Correct,
I'm not sure.
Correct. There's kind of this in between. So if somebody's doing more than that, I think the best suggestion I saw out there is it should be more than $10 million. Mm-hmm. I think that would give plenty of room so that all of your small businesses that do it, there's no way you're going to hit that ceiling. And if you're doing that, then you're probably in a place where you have the financial wherewithal to cover some of those expenses. So that would be my take, is get it to $10 million. Fine, we got to deal with some of this complexity of online sales, but I'm still amazed how much brick and mortar sales there is. I was talking with somebody about that the other day, that clearly there's always online retail, but they were predicting back when we were in college, Jack, that there was not going to be a mall anymore, and that obviously has not happened.
Right. Yeah, no question. And you've got to think too, if you look at it from their perspective, if you're a brick and mortar retail owner, you got to be saying, hey, we've got to do this. And granted, they're not dealing with 50 states for the most part. Unless they've got multiple locations, it's kind of a fairness issue too. So.
Absolutely. It's tough. It's still got to go past the House, so it's been gone through the Senate, so definitely stay tuned. This will be an interesting issue to watch.
Tougher fight in the House than the Senate, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's not for sure at this point.
By the way, I saw another. You had, what was it, last time you came in? We had the AP Twitter hacked, and we've had all these. And you've got this Syrian electronic army going out and doing these things, and they're at war with Anonymous. And while I don't think these hacks of these major Twitter accounts are related to something as simple as someone guessing a password, I've seen a couple of pieces again about creating good passwords for your accounts and just how important that is. when you tell people what they should be doing with a password, what are you telling them?
Well, I think now, especially since we do a lot of sites with WordPress and Drupal, I mean, that's the basic thing in addition to your Facebook and Twitter is, I mean, at least make it 8 to 10 characters. You got to include some uppercase, lowercase, some, exclamation points, commas, dashes. Just do some non-conventional characters like that. I think that would make a lot of difference.
Something I've always wondered about when it comes to users and passwords is, do you want your operating system to hold on to what your password is, or do you want to put it in yourself every time? I know
it always asks you. Yeah,
it always asks you, but you can always turn it off too.
Or your browser.
Yeah, your browser, and you can tell it, no, I'll do it myself every single time. Now it's great if you have multiple accounts, like if you have, I don't know, 3 or 4 Facebook accounts. Mm-hmm. Let's say you assume some kind of identity that isn't your real name. That's stupid, but. If you were to do something like that, it's very, very easy to get back and forth in Facebook or Twitter, something like that. But for the most part, should you have the computer hold on to your user and passwords?
I think if you're going to do that, my advice is just make sure that login into the computer is not like unprotected.
Right.
Again, using a password that's substantially difficult. It's a great question. I mean, there's convenience like with Chrome where you save all that stuff in that browser and you can get all your passwords across any device for accessibility.
Right.
So you're right. There's that use and abuse. If you're going to do that, make sure your computer is not easy to log into.
Yeah, and you wonder what's next with these Twitter hackings because there have been more of. I'm trying to remember. There was another couple of them this week. I'm forgetting right off the top of my head exactly what it was, but
and then the Syrian hackers they got into the television network's webpage.
That's the one. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And they got into another one.
There was
too.
Another one this week too,
and just brought them to their knees.
Yeah, it's just a completely new thing that major corporations, major social media websites have to deal with. All right, we spent a lot of time on Apple. Let's talk Google. Let's talk Android. Let's talk Windows today a little bit because I know Google has their version of the big conference and everyone's live blogging and watching on the internet and so forth coming up. What are the rumors? What are we hearing about what's going to happen here?
Well, I think that it's, for those that don't know, if it's called Google I/O, and this is where they have their big announcements. This is where they really formally announced Google Glass last year. They had a failed called the Nexus Q, which was like a multimedia device, which totally flopped.
I remember talking to you about
that. Piece of garbage. It was really bad. But no, there's some neat stuff. I think that, the biggest thing is obviously they're going to upgrade Android. Google Glass is going to be a big part of it. There's a new chatting service they're going to be developing called Babel. And from what I understand, and I'm sure there's more details, it's going to consolidate a lot of the chatting services across the Gmail platform. That's going to make it more efficient and ultimately potentially will incorporate other services if you want to add them as well.
I use those more rarely than I used to. I mean, you think back in the old days, AOL Instant Messenger, people were on ICQ and Yahoo Messenger and the Windows Messenger. I used to do that all the time, and I don't know why it's not a thing anymore, probably because of the connectedness with texting, I think, to a large degree, and then even Facebook to a lesser degree as well. But I didn't know there was – I feel like those things are kind of being phased out for whatever reason.
I agree. I mean, we use it a little bit because of the virtual nature of our organization, or semi-virtual. We do a lot of chatting across desktops and so forth. But I agree. I mean, the update or the more formal announcement of Google Glass and what the feature set's going to be, I think will be intriguing.
When it's coming, how much it's going to cost.
What's it going to cost? I mean, there's a lot of rumors right now about a lot of the features have been buried, and the development community has been starting to uncover those things of what it's capable of and what it can do. Again, we've talked about this many times. This could be extremely gadgety. This could be something that may be, adopted by the masses. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, the people that have gotten their hands on it like it a lot.
Yes.
I understand.
Yes.
But there's so much pushback from they don't want them in Capitol Hill. They don't want them in movie theaters. They don't want them in strip clubs.
Locker rooms,
They don't want them in locker rooms. I mean, yeah, you can have these devices, but where are you going to be able to use them outside of jumping out of an airplane so you can see what time it is and what your text message is?
At some point, can you regulate that? I mean, how obvious is it going to be that that's what you're wearing?
Well, that's the whole thing is right now you can tell you're wearing Google Glass. What happens when you can't?
Yeah, at some point you'd think they're going to have something that's not that obvious.
No, I totally agree. I think the other one, too, that's going to affect probably more people than the glass announcement is they want to revamp Gmail completely.
Really?
Yeah, which could be a fairly substantial. It's not clear if it's going to be just the apps. I think it's going to be the browser-based scenario, which I think is great. I mean, it's been good. The interface of Gmail has been pretty much the same for about 10 years, give or take some tweaks. So I think that's something that could impact a lot of people.
It'll be interesting. I switched over to Gmail after MSN thought I hacked my own account. So
Yeah, me too.
I still use AOL.
I had my Hotmail account from so long ago, and they all of a sudden didn't believe it was me, and I couldn't answer any of my security questions. They said, you can never have access to this again. So I switched over to Gmail. Windows making some noise again. They got past, what was the number, 100 million? 100 million people using the system. I don't know how significant that number is anyway.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a pretty decent milestone, right?
It's a decent number.
But that's because you buy a PC, that's what's on it. I mean, for the most part, it's not like people are... That's just how laptops are.
Some of it could be some auto upgrades from businesses and things like that. I mean, the problem right now that kind of happened for those that remember Windows Vista, it was a total flop. Mm-hmm. And Windows 8's had the same problem. It's not fully baked. I think we talked about that when we started. I mean, it's okay, but it really is some extra stuff on top of Windows 7, and it really doesn't help, especially if you don't have touch.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Yeah, but doesn't Apple have the same problem? Apple seems to manage their problems a little bit better than Microsoft does when it comes to the software.
Yes.
But I remember installing version 5 on my phone, and it didn't work hardly at all. And within a week, I had 6.
Correct.
So, I mean, they have their same problems. I think Apple's just playing out a better PR machine.
I agree. And you got to be responsive and so forth. And that's always been Microsoft's challenges. They're a little bit slow to adapt. There's some cool stuff they're doing. I don't know if they're doing a great job of leveraging it.
I've been a Windows 8 user. I've got the hybrid laptop that is touchscreen on it as well, and I don't know. I find myself always just going back to the old Windows screen and using it like an old laptop, not using the touchscreen, not using the tablet interface. It's just not. I don't know. It's not intuitive for me for whatever reason. Maybe,
I would agree.
Maybe the changes they make will do that. All right. All right. Anything else going on right now? This is Turbine.com, right, for the website and the blog?
Yes. Yeah, we're coming up on our 3-year anniversary.
Great.
At Turbine, so we're excited about that. May have a little open house. But, yeah, just keep following our blog and our Twitter and our Facebook, hopefully throwing out some fun stuff and some tips for everybody out there.
Very good. Always appreciate it, Jason. We'll talk to you again soon, all right?
See you, gentlemen.